Hello, YouTube. I want to talk about words and Genesis and the serpent and the whore of Revelation 17. I've studied words for a few years, and it's fascinating. I mean, it sounds dull to study the dictionary, but it's not. If you study how words are connected to the Bible and how words are connected to spiritual things and what's going on in the world, and people try to claim the Bible's not the Word of God and stuff, but when you study words, it is fascinating. Okay, I'm going to start in Genesis chapter 2, verse 16. And Lord God commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. Okay, now we're talking about the tree of knowledge. That is the world religion. Revelation chapter 17 talks about the whore of Revelation. And it says, all the kings of the earth committed fornication with the whore. Okay, now if you think about this, the kings of the earth are the male. The whore is the female. The male enters the female. Okay? Knowledge. Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge. Knowledge, but it's satanic knowledge. Knowledge is the world religion, that man can be his own God. In Genesis chapter 3, and I know I've said this in other videos, but I got to repeat this a little bit to explain myself. Genesis 3, the serpent said to the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God does know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. The word evil there in Strong's Concordance, and I recommend this one right here, is in the Hebrew dictionary. It is number 7451, and it is the Hebrew word Ra, which is the name of the Egyptian sun god. And all the world empires, the Egyptians, the Syrians, the Babylonians, Medes and Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, they all worshipped the sun. They all worshipped the sun god. And the worship of the sun god started, and it went through Egypt and everything, got to the Greeks. They called it Hermetica. Now the word Hermetica has been turned into the occult. Occult comes from the word hidden. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this tree of knowledge. Okay, what is it? Now I'm going to give you a kind of a grocery list of words and how they work together to tell you things. Now I hope this sounds good. I hope this makes sense. The tree of knowledge. What is a tree? A tree is a plant. Okay? If you look up the word plant in the dictionary, one of the meanings is to conceal, just like the word occult. So you have a tree that is a plant, which is attached to the word to conceal, which is attached to the word the occult. Now conceal, the word hell means to conceal. Cell, like cell in a jail, means to conceal because person's put away, it's concealed. Cell phone, okay, same word. Now think about this, it's concealed, you put it in your pocket. It comes from the occult. Okay, if you look up the word conceal in a dictionary, it'll say more at hell in a good dictionary. Helmet, like you put on your head to protect your head, that comes from the same word that means conceal. Okay, and then you have a hermit. Somebody that's a hermit, they're out in solitude. They are concealed. Solitude, it starts with S-O-L. If you look up the word sun, the Latin word for sun is S-O-L. So you have solitude, which is attached to sun worship, which is attached to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Okay, now you have the word, let me see. Okay, they were told not to eat from the tree of knowledge. Okay, how do we eat right now? Okay, we go to work and we labor at different jobs. A lot of people labor at a plant. Remember, a tree is a plant. What does a plant produce? Fruit. What does a plant where a person is employed produce? Products, which is the word production. Okay. It's all tied together. The whole world, the English language is universal language, and there's a reason for that. Remember in the Tower of Babel, God confused all the languages, okay? God's the one that made the languages. That's where the languages came from. Well, God also made the English language. And the English language conceals a lot of secrets about what's going on, okay? If you look up the word sin in the dictionary, the whole old High German word for sin is Sünde. Again, you go back to the sun and the sun god Ra, and sin and the rebellion and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, now what do you cut a tree with? With a saw, S-A-W. Okay, if you look up the word sign in the dictionary, one of the words that means sign is an image. Remember the image of the beast in Revelation chapter 13? If you look up the word sign, and it says the image is one of the words, it says more at saw, okay, because it means, the sign means to cut. But then you take the word saw, it has to do with seeing and goes back to the occult. Your eyes shall be opened and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. The Latin word for sign is signum, which means mark. Remember mark of the beast, Revelation chapter 13? It means token, image, seal, akin to the Latin secare, to cut. So it all goes back to the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Okay, a saw cuts a tree. Okay, and it's all together. Okay, then you have, what do you do at a plant where a person's employed? You have industry. Okay, industry. In Genesis chapter 3, you have the curse on the serpent, which God said he would eat dust all his life. Industry. You have a tree, you have in the dust, the serpent is in the dust. This knowledge, this forbidden occult knowledge the serpent gave is what is produced in industry. Okay, what do you do at a plant where you're employed? You labor. Okay, Revelation chapter 17, you have the whore of Revelation. She is the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, which means she gives birth, right? Which is, what does a woman do when she gives birth? She has labor. Okay, people labor at a plant. They give birth to what? To products. They also give birth, like it says in Revelation 17, to she gives birth to harlots and abominations of the earth. Okay, now if you look up the word labor in the dictionary, there's one. Labor can mean a period of labor. What's a period? It is what a woman has, a monthly period. So you have the female connected to labor. You also have the word labor comes from the word labium, and you can look that up. And it is the Latin word for labium is lip, which is part of the female anatomy, which has to do with the edge, which is in the dictionary. The edge is on the verge of something, and that's where you get the word virgin. It's all connected. Okay, and then God said in Genesis 3 that he would make enemies between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. Okay, now if you look up the word seed in the dictionary, it is Old English, S-A-W-A-N, sawan, more at sow. Okay, so you sow seed. You also sow fig leaves. So you have sowing fig leaves, which is labor, which is the first industry. Okay, because they are now turning to the way of the serpent to cover their nakedness. Now, if you notice in naked, the word naked is, put an S on that, you have snaked. All right, now why? Because the word naked, one of the meanings for the word for naked can mean lacking foliage of plants that doesn't have any limbs. What does a snake not have? It doesn't have any limbs. So it goes back to the tree of knowledge again. Okay, in Genesis chapter 3, God covered Adam and Eve He went out and killed an animal and covered Adam and Eve with skins from an animal, which he shed the blood of the animal, which was a symbol of the future death of Christ to cover the sins of Adam and Eve, that Jesus Christ would shed his blood. That was the first sacrifice made to God as a symbol for the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Okay, so what happened when the animal was died and they took the skin? They had rawhide, right? Now notice, rawhide. The sun god's name is Ra, and then you have hide. Means they're hidden from the sin of Ra. That's right here. I mean, you can look all this up. Okay. Now, another word for naked means unaided by optical, which comes from the word open. And remember the serpent in Genesis 3 said, your eyes shall be open, knowing good and evil. So unaided by optical device or instrument, the naked eye. Now notice that. Adam and Eve, when they ate the fruit, knew they were naked. And they went out and sewed fig leaves, sewed them together. And that was the first industry. They were now living in the dust of the serpent. And they went out on their own to hide from God through industry. The serpent said, your eyes shall be open and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. He was saying through industry, you can be your own God. You don't need God, and you can hide from God. Now, notice naked means unaided by optical device or instrument. Now, if you look up the word solution, okay, you have instrument, instrument. Okay, now I think this stuff's interesting because if you look at the way words are pronounced, I think it makes sense. Instrument. Okay, solution. When you make medicine, okay, you make solutions. If you look up the word sun, Latin word for sun is S-O-L, sol. Solution. If you look up in Revelation chapter 18, verse 23, it says in the King James Version that the whole world was deceived by the sorcery of the whore of Revelation. The word sorcery there in the Greek is pharmakeia, which is where you will get the word pharmacy. Pharmacies make solutions. Pharmacy also goes back to Pharaoh, who believed in the religion of the serpent in Genesis 3, and Hermetica and Thoth and all that. And this, I think, shows a whole lot in Genesis 3, and there's more here. There's a lot more here, and I hope I covered it all. I think I covered it all. But one of the things I wanted to show also, okay, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12, okay, it's talking about Lucifer, and it says Lucifer in that verse in King James. But if you look that up, the actual Hebrew word is Hallel. That is the devil's real name, Hallel, okay? And if you look up the word cell, like cell phone, and you look up the word conceal, more at hell, and cell means to conceal. Cell phone, which is made by industry, came from the same place as this name right here. Technology, high technology, came from the knowledge, the tree of knowledge. The world religion is knowledge, the satanic hidden occult knowledge that man through technology does not need God. And Adam and Eve started doing it when they sowed the fig leaves. God bless you.